Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Cassie Lang Build-A-Figure Wave Marvel's Egghead. It's probably the best figure of the wave, comic-wise anyway. The movie ones were probably fine. I don't know, I don't buy those anymore, but I didn't ever expect this to be a figure I was excited about, and I'm not really excited about it, but it does some things pretty well. There's one thing that kind of is holding me back from saying it's really good, and we'll see what you guys think about that, but otherwise it's a pretty solid release. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, let's look at the package. I think it's standard enough, nothing really special going on here. It's a terrible pose. It's like they don't even try sometimes. Not that he's supposed to be in a dynamic pose, but just what's happening here exactly. He's just standing there confused. There's a drawing of him, which is kind of indicative of the release, but not too much. Here's another pose that's just weird. Oh man. Anyway, there you go. Basic packaging. Nothing special there. Alright, here we have the main event. There we go. Should be there. Alright, so here he is up against Darwin. He has just a little bit more bald head than Darwin. That's gonna be about, let's call it 6 5/8, roughly. That's gonna be almost 17 centimeters. All right, now let's do a quick question of the day. Did you want a figure of this guy? And if it's good, do you, even if you didn't before? Honestly, I never could have cared less about Egghead. But if it's a solid enough release, then fine, what the heck? We've already got so many Marvel Legends. They might as well make some interesting characters. So, okay, so here's the thing that for me, when I think of this character, I think of the squattier version with the much bigger head. Much less realistic looking. And of course, Hasbro didn't do that. They went with the very cosplay look. It's still pretty good though, and technically there are versions of him that match this look for the most part with the normal human build with just a slightly egg-shaped head. Again, I much prefer the more exaggerated thing because these are comic characters, not people in cosplay. But you guys can let me know what you think about that. How do you feel about having this normal looking version as opposed to the other one? Alright, let's talk about the aesthetic. They nailed it. I mean, he's supposed to have the bright blue pants. The colors are all pretty much spot on, no complaints there. The white is done well enough, no real problems there either. Only downside is the lack of paint. The shoes really show it the most. Let me zoom in a little bit. There's just nothing there. So it looks very bland, but it's not the worst thing, and they did paint the ankles at least, which isn't necessarily the right thing to do, but it's the best thing to do given this sculpt. Because of the way they don't really have an ankle for the shoe or pant or anything, it's just an ankle underneath there of undetermined sculpt. So there's that. Pants are okay, they are very shiny though, I don't care for that, I wish they weren't so plasticky. Belt is painted really well. The tie is okay, except it's not supposed to be like this out in the open. It's supposed to be straight down, which is fine, but I don't mind it. I guess it kind of looks windswept, I guess. I think that's probably just mine, though. I'm guessing most of them are going to be straight. So yeah, it's very bland looking. It is definitely lacking paint. The face, on the other hand, I think is pretty good. They did go for a more realistic look. I think they should have leaned into the less realistic look though. The mouth is well done, the eyes are done well, the glasses are done really well. Like, I think they nailed what they were going for. Again, I would much rather have not had a hyper realistic, like, human version of this guy. I would much rather have the comic version. But what they were going for, at least for the head, they did really well. And the body's good enough. I don't care as much about the paint on this guy because there's enough variation, but definitely could have used a little bit of at least a wash in a few places, some shading somewhere, something to bring it to life. It's very bland looking, but for what it is, it looks solid. I don't mind it at all. I'm gonna say this guy gets, for Marvel Legends, it's still only gonna get a 7. There's no paint. There's really not enough paint on here to give it higher than a 7, but it's the high 7 for Hasbro for Marvel Legends. As far as accessories, guys, get ready. It's a doozy. We get this one unpainted gun. He can't hold it, so there's that. 0 out of 10, taking away some spite points. It's just not enough. Not for the $26 price point. Okay, for articulation, because of the way his neck is, you get very, very little. Let's pop it off just to make sure it's in there. Yeah, okay, it's still in there, but not only can they not do a double ball peg properly, Like, look how far in there that is. That's definitely wrong. We already know that. They can't do double ball pegs properly, but they also have this guy's neck to contend with, so there's no chance this guy was ever going to be able to do anything. And realistically, they had to sculpt his head so far down, they had to do his double chin, because they didn't use new parts for his torso and his neck. They're basically hiding the fact that he has a normal sized neck to not go with his double chin. So that's kind of lazy and annoying. You're not really going to be able to pose this guy's head very well. To the side, it's okay, but then you see the normal neck underneath, so it looks really cheap, and his head goes over his shirt, his neck fat. So pretty lazy. Really, really annoyed with that. Shoulders are obviously fine. We've seen all these parts before pretty much, so that's fine. He's not going to be able to put his arms up to horizontal, but since it's just him, I guess it's okay. Bicep swivel is fine, double jointed elbow is fine, wrist swivel and hinge. Gun hand is a horizontal hinge, that's annoying, but it's just this character, so who cares. Ab crunch is acceptable going forward, can't really do much going back. Waist twist is a waist twist. Legs kick forward, not all the way. They go back a little bit out to the side, enough. Like, it's posable more than you're going to need for the character, which is a good thing, but it's still not a great set of articulation. Really ugly knees. One day I should do a video about why Hasbro does these really flat, ugly joints, even for ab crunches. Here, let me show you something. Do you guys like a video explaining why they do their joints like this, to where the sculpt is just totally broken and unfinished as soon as you pose the figure? It looks great like this, flawless, and then as soon as you do this, it's terrible. Would you guys like to know about that? I could make a video about that at some point, I think. Alright, and then lastly we have his ankles, which actually work surprisingly well. Like, they go all the way back, more than you could need. They go forward a little bit, and you can probably, yeah, you can lift them up and get them to go a little bit farther. Ankle rocker's okay. It's fine. It's gonna be a 7 for Marvel Legends. It's nothing special for the character. It's perfectly acceptable, though. Alright, so now it's time for the final verdict for this guy. A surprising release, I think. Surprising in that it's probably the best of the wave. And it's a character that's not exactly a top tier, top A-lister type character, but they did a good enough job that I'm perfectly okay with adding it to the collection. As far as Hasbro product goes, this one's fine. I'm still just gonna give it a 7 overall, 7 out of 10. No paint anywhere to make it look like a collectible. The only thing really saving this guy is what they were going for, they nailed for the head sculpt, even though it's not what I would prefer. So, it's fine. It's okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.